I don't tell people what to do.
This is exactly what you keep doing. You're acting like spoiled, irresponsible children.
I don't tell anyone what to do or what not to do.
I want you to panic.
I don't tell people what to do.
I want you to panic.
I don't tell anyone what to do or what not to do.
I want you to act as if the house was on fire.
I don't tell people what to do.
I want you to act as if the house was on fire.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Whoa. I'm a Muslim. If there's anyone who should be talking about the apocalypse, it should be me. Somehow, this Swedish elite child doggone took her jobs. What she's saying is not new though. The end of the world's big business. Dah cuba, dah try, dah tested for a long time. Question is, could she just be another manufactured asset? One that's constructed by the elites she claims to be fighting against? Well, if the Greta hype has attracted you idealistic baby boomers, you bored millennials, and you traumatized children knowing that you only have about 12 years to live, let's find out who Greta really is. The story's the same old, told by all the vegans and all the ecologists. Disturbed by the documentaries of dying polar bears and cow farts, she started a one-person protest back in August 2018. Then came along PR man Ingmar Renshag, the founder of the social media campaign We Don't Have Time. Apparently he randomly found Greta protesting on the streets, and then he tweeted her and became good friends, and it became very viral and lived happily ever after. If that sounds like a fairy tale, it's because it is. The real story is that Greta's mom is actually an elite opera singer, Malena Ernman, and she met up with Renshag early 2018 to discuss the fresh new face that they needed for the new climate campaign. Long story short, the elitist connection has opened their doors to people like Al Gore and a plethora of investors and this incestuous circus of social democrat elites in the energy sector, wants to transform the political climate and get ahead of the game as the world restructure their energy needs.
Why is it we are not shifting to 100% renewable energies? How is it that nothing is being done? We have a solution. Right now, as we speak, we are building a social network, an arena where you and millions of people around the world will be able to watch who is really doing something to put an end to the climate crisis. An arena where you can look into what your politicians and business leaders are doing about climate change. Do they in fact take it seriously? Are they doing their job? Love bomb the ones in power that are actively looking for solutions, and climate bomb the ones that must do more. Nobody likes a bad rating. Nobody wants to be held accountable for the climate crisis.
Ah yes, the Swedish conformist dystopian dream.
But the fault lies in all of you! You, who bought that $300,000 house when you only had $20,000 to put down! You, who bought that third car even though only 2 people in your home drive! It is time to stop pointing fingers! Finger pointing gets us nowhere! Steve!
If you think that social credit system is just a sci-fi nightmare from a Black Mirror episode, think again. But that's another topic for another day. What this seems to me is a child that is being exploited for capitalistic gains, wrapped and veiled as a social democratic movement. If her parents cared for her at all, then they should have let her become a teenager and lived her life that way. Instead of feeding her and encouraging her this apocalyptic delusion, fueling a desperate emotional state just to sell a message. The media would just need to point their cameras at this circus and let the emotions, the guilt, the shame, the empathy do all the work. Parents should be protecting their children and dispelling their worst fears, be a stable force in their lives, and lead by example and work on realistic things that they can change themselves. Not tell the kids that they have no future whatsoever and that the survival of our civilization and possibly even our species is in the hands of a 16-year-old autistic girl. I don't think creating hysterical kids is good for their mental health. And yet somehow we are called bad guys or climate deniers for pointing that out. Ken, maybe we should just let these despicable adults with ulterior political and economic motives push their propaganda onto kids who think they're gonna die in about a decade or so. I'll say this one more time. This is being done so that kids will voluntarily grow up to have a radical transformation of how they live their lives. While the elites who are telling you to do all this are accumulating more wealth and more control. This is how it goes.
Not about science. If it were about science, it would be led by scientists rather than by politicians and a mentally ill Swedish child who is being exploited by her parents and by the international left. So what you're seeing here is a political movement and a religious movement, and it's fulfilling religious and political goals of the left, but it isn't doing very much for science.
You're a grown man and you're attacking a child. Shame on you. She's trying to do what she thinks is right. And by the way, now relax, skinny boy. I got this, okay? You're attacking a child. child. You're a grown man. Have some cool.
I'm not. I'm attacking the left for exploiting a mentally ill child.
Maybe on your podcast, you get away and say whatever you want because nobody's listening. You're on national television. Be a grown-up when you're talking about children. She's trying to save the planet because your president doesn't believe in climate change, and kids need to take to the streets to worry about their future. You are despicable for talking to her about her like that, and you should apologize on national television right now.
I think the international left and her parents who are exploiting a girl with many mental illnesses.
You called her mentally ill. Take it back now.
She is mentally ill. She is mentally ill. She has autism. She has obsessive compulsive disorder. She has selective mutism. She had depression.
You are despicable.
So Michael Knowles was forced to kowtow to the people in power for having civil discourse. Thing is it wrong what he said? Is Greta really mentally disadvantaged?
I have Asperger's. I'm on the autism spectrum, so I don't really care about social codes in that way.
In fact, you called your Asperger's, you called it a superpower, a gift.
To have some kind of neurotypical diagnosis and to be neurodiverse. Because that makes you different, that makes you think differently, and especially in such a big crisis like this when we need to think outside the box and who aren't like everyone else.
Without my diagnosis, this wouldn't have been possible, because then I would have been just like everyone else and kept on going like everyone else and not think about this too much. Now I overthink everything, and I can't just let things go. Things that I care about and worry about are stuck in my head.
Tak tahulah if you see what I see. Tapi sedar tak betapa susahnya nak ada dialog tentang seseorang yang ada mental disorder tanpa menyinggungkan perasaan orang lain. Indeed, the Swedish elites has found the perfect tool in exploiting a sick child for a gain. If Michael Jackson was an artist, society would probably let him do more than just a long gander at children's anuses. Greta claims that the system is broken and oppressive, yet the very same class of elites is giving her platform for all her talk. How did she get invited to the World Bank Conference in Switzerland, or meet the Pope, or even meet Arnold Schwarzenegger? I mean, the guy only has a basement full of muscle cars and a tank. I wouldn't even be surprised if he told her, "Get to the chopper." If she was an enemy of the elite, as the media has led us to believe, they wouldn't even invite her. They wouldn't have put her on stage and applaud when she says things like, "Oh, we'll be watching you," or "We're coming after you."
If you choose to fail us, we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this. And change is coming whether you like it or not. How dare you!
If you think that these people, these globalists, these elites, would invite a person that actually would expose their system and how they do things, and expose their methods and put them to shame, and put them in their place, and address the real concerns that people actually have, well, then you have no idea about the true nature of these people or any of these elites. You are sadly very, very naive. And if you think that they would give you something without benefiting anything from it, in the end you have to rethink the situation and learn about the tactics of these people that declare everyone else as an enemy, everyone else who they want to subjugate and control with propagandas just like this. No, instead they give people like Greta awards and prizes because it benefits the same old agenda of financial control through wealth redistribution. I mean, they won't redistribute their own money, but they will with your money. Don't worry about that one. They will do back-end deals with all these companies and benefit from the new Green Deal in order to become even wealthier and to consolidate even more power into fewer groups. Hence, they basically want us back to a feudal system, and this climate oracle, this prophet, is a way to sell you superstition with raw emotions and frustrations of a child. They do this so that the message will bypass any of your rational modalities. It's all manipulation. Now, you might think I'm a conspiracy theorist. If that's so, then why is that no one is questioning how a little girl got herself onto a Rothschild-owned super yacht named Malizia 2 to New York? We know about this because it's a PR stunt to reduce carbon emissions, which in the end created more carbon emissions. Greta set sail with 6 of her team members, all of which were flying back to Germany from New York once the photo op-ed's over. That's 1,800 kilograms of CO2 that's emitted for each of the flights. Why didn't she and her father just flew to New York in the first place? Do as we say, not as we do.
I don't tell anyone what to do or what not to do.
Like Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle, who has this alarmist idea of a climate emergency, vowed to only have 2 kids to save the planet, and then continues to take 4 private jet trips in the span of 11 days. Do as we say, not as we do. But Greta's 1 in a million. She has done more for the climate than you would ever have. Is she that special though? I mean, she is. Is she a special kind of special though? Well, you don't have to look far back. You just have to look at the same organizations, the same people, and you would find that they use the same poster child of any flavor to sell an agenda. In fact, the conference that started all this climate hysteria was the UN Earth Summit. The Earth Climate Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, where they featured a young girl, Severin Cullis Suzuki, who was also around the same age as Greta. Have a look.
Suzuki speaking for ECHO, the Environmental Children's Organization. We're a group of 12 and 13-year-olds trying to make a difference. You adults, you must change your ways. I have no hidden agenda. I am fighting for my future. I am here to speak for all generations to come. I am afraid to go out in the sun now because of the holes in our ozone. I'm afraid to breathe the air, and yet we act as if we have all the time we want. I'm only a child, yet I know we are all in this together and should act as one single world towards one single goal. Parents should be able to comfort their children by saying, everything's going to be all right. It's not the end of the world, but I don't think you can say that to us anymore. What you do makes me cry at night. You grown-ups say you love us, but I challenge you, please. Make your actions reflect your words. Thank you.
But the scientists all agree that oh, you mean this guy right here? A small but very influential bunch of people who fudged the numbers and gave alarmist reports to the IPCC. The same reports that are now being referenced to say that we must act right now or we will all die. This was leaked and exposed back in 2010, yet the propaganda continues. The machine's still running. But that was back in 2010. Now we have new data, kan? Okay. Well, what about a few days ago, September 23rd? A group of scientists and professionals in climate and related fields sent a letter to the United Nations declaring, quote, there is no climate emergency. The models are premature, and it's unfair to tell the rest of the world to suffer so you can capitalize on billions in the energy sector. As you can see, not all scientists agree on the same thing. Now, climate change is real, and there are real problems with real issues, no doubt about it. But why do you think it's so hard to solve a global problem? When you ask your first world citizens to recycle, the trash that you bring up to your curb is actually being sent to poorer countries just like mine. Whoops! Well, as long as I can enjoy my avocado toast. Bill Gates is trying to sanitize the world, while your elite extreme cost of living in Los Angeles is actually bringing back the bubonic plague. And what about the European Union? By 2030, they want to ban all palm oil plantations because of deforestation. But at the same time, you're taking away our commodity, which we have sustained more than what we have pledged to do. And that's 5% of our GDP that we can redistribute into things like better educating our people to be more aware of the environment. Isn't it odd that there are no efforts to help all the poorer countries who are the major contributors of global warming in the first place? Do you really think eating maggots is a better option than solving sanitation or malnourishment in poorer countries? You think that slapping a very hefty carbon offset tax is better than redistributing that money into helping educating poorer countries understand about the environment? Hello, this is Nikolai. I think you should just stop traveling. If you stop traveling, there's more seat for us. And you should also have more immigrants coming into your country so that we can tax you and use your money to help them sustain their lifestyle. But us, nah, we'll just keep our top 1%. So give us your money so that we can save you, the people. If you think this good system and we should adopt it, please leave comment down section below. If not, smash subscribe and hit notification bell as usual. Peace.
Bila Larut Malam.